This is the second Devo called Tell Them, and it's titled The Hard Things. And I was telling you how that I feel like it's really, really important to tell the next generation of the goodness of God and what we've experienced and of our love for Him and His love for us. We're in Exodus 10 now when God tells Moses to go to Pharaoh to let the people go. But He also tells Moses that it's going to be hard because the Pharaoh's heart will be hardened, and that the deliverance won't come right away. There will be hardship and delay. He says this, "Go to Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the hearts of his officials, so that I might perform these signs of mine among them, and that you may tell your children and your grandchildren how I dealt harshly with the Egyptians and how I performed my signs among them, so you can know that I am the Lord." So let's unpack this directive from God. He warns Moses that this deliverance is coming, but it's going to be hard. And over again, Moses is going to have to tell this guy to let the people go. And over again, this guy's going to say no. It's going to be a hard journey. But there's hope in this directive. God tells Moses that He is going to perform signs that Moses will be able to tell his generations after him. Why? So that they will know that He is the Lord. In other words, how will our kids know God's power and might and deliverance if we don't tell them how it was hard, how we obeyed, and how deliverance came? So Moses obeys and tells this captor to let his family go. And at first, of course, he's told yes, and then Pharaoh changes his mind. How many times in your own life has God directed you to do something, but it didn't turn out the way you thought it would? Maybe He told you to move your family across the nation, but it seemed like every obstacle kept you from going, and you began to feel unsure if you'd heard God in the first place. Tell your kids this. In verse 8, Pharaoh tells Moses he can go, but then he says, "Who's going with you?" And when Moses says that all will go, including the women and the children, the Pharaoh then says, "No way," and a big plague comes upon Pharaoh and the land. I love this story because Moses refused to go and worship and leave without his entire family. He wasn't willing to leave anyone behind. Maybe there have been times you've sacrificed for your family and it cost you a job or a salary or friendships. Or maybe you did leave your family behind and now you realize it wasn't the best and you need to ask your kids for forgiveness. Tell them. Moses had to keep remembering God's initial directive as he was declined over and over again from the Exodus. And he had to remember that God told him there would be deliverance, and it was imperative that he recall it and tell the next generation. We all have so many experiences of God's voice in our lives, of our own obedience or disobedience to that voice, the struggles we had, and then the outcome of what God promised. Sometimes we obey and see great big answers, maybe not the crossing of the Red Sea, but huge answers to our prayers after years of disappointment. Other times, maybe we also grew discouraged in our faith, only to have God show up and reveal Himself to us in ways that blew us away. Either way, these experiences lead us into worship, away from bondage, where deliverance comes. It's good to tell our kids how hard it was to obey, how it was disappointing when deliverance and answers didn't come, but how awesome it was that we were held and directed by the hand of God, who spoke, caused enemies to bow, and parted waters so that we were set free. If we don't tell them, who will? Someone will tell them of their exploits and experiences, and it should be us. When God told Moses to prepare to tell the children, He said it was because they needed to know the Lord. We can take our kids to classes and read them scriptures for years, but unless we tell them of the reality of the hard times while waiting in obedience, the words that they hear will just be words. Make them come to life with your stories and tell them. Maybe with an ice cream in hand on a hot summer day, you can tell them how hard it was and how God came through and how He's faithful always, even in the hard times.